Hello, hope you are all having an amazing Sunday. I had to think what day it was there. So welcome to my live today. Oops, I've just gone live, so I hope you heard that. Now if you are tuning in live, just put a hello in the comments so I can see who is on. If you are catching the replay, just put hashtag replay so we know that you have watched it. And please feel free to ask questions in the comments while I am live. I'm just going to comment to myself just to see that it is working. Give me 5. So for those that don't know me, I'm Jenny Graheck. So I am an art teacher and I have my own business on the side called Raw Art Designs, and I teach both acrylic painting and Mandala Dot Art. Hi Claudia, thanks for joining. How you going? So I thought I'd get on here and just show you a few tips. Now I am self-taught, which I'm sure lots of you are. So and this is just what I prefer. You may have other things that you prefer, and please share if you have something that you like to use, because that helps everybody in this group. So Nick has done an amazing job setting this group up along with all the admins to help you out with your dotting journey. Now thank you to all those that have commented on the posts that I have been asking, so that will just help me with what you're struggling with so that I can do some lessons around those things. Hi Yvonne, hi Pam, great to have you ladies on. So please feel free to keep adding to that post, because that will help me with what sort of content to put on these live. So I will be going most Sundays live to do some of these just to help you out. Now mainly for beginners, however if you are an old hand you still can learn some things as well. And I know swooshes is a big one for everybody. So I actually did folk art for quite some time when I was younger and loved it, and one of the painting techniques in there called the comma stroke actually helps with swooshes. So I've picked up swooshes really easily because I knew how to do that comma stroke, and there's a little technique and some tips I can give you on doing that. So that will be on a little bit down the track, or I might just do a separate one on that as well for those that are already up to doing swooshes. Hi Joyce, great to have you on. So, and it's funny when someone calls me Jennifer. So Joyce is actually one of my mum's friends, and I get called Jennifer by my mum, so yes. Oh Claudia, well then you probably know how to do that stroke. Have you used that with your swooshes? Let me know in the comments, and if it helped you. Alright, so getting started. First of all, what you're going to need, the very first thing you're going to need is some tools. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the angle of my camera. I have a really cool overhead camera, and that I have for work because I'm an art teacher that teaches online, so we use this all the time. And so I'm going to just turn it down so it faces down, so you won't see me, you'll just hear me talking. So and you'll see my hands, and I'll show you things under the camera. Okay, now just bear with me while I change it around. Alright, so hopefully you can all see that. Alright, so first things first, tools. Now I have been dotting for just over 5 years, I think, or 4 years maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, and I started off with this set of tools. Now I just taught some big dotting classes, and I've left all of my things at my school, so luckily I had some spares and a few lying around here because I've actually changed tools now. So these you can get on eBay. So this is what I started out with, was the easiest, and there are a few different variations of these, so you can get them with the nice colors, which I love, or you can get them with just plain colors, or you can get them clear. but I found the clear ones were quite challenging. I bought them once because they were cheap, and then I'd get confused as what I was doing. So I'm just going to open this packet to show you. So hands up in the comments if you are using these or you have purchased them. So these are what we call the flat end tools, and there's 8 in a set. So you've got all of your, I'm just going to put them into size, because when I learnt to dot, I was following a lady who used these, and she gave them numbers, and you followed the pattern with the numbers, and she did the biggest one was number 1, so it was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So that made it pretty easy to follow her patterns, and I can't remember what her name was at this minute. I've got a mental blank, but she had amazing patterns. All right, so you've got the flat end tools, and then you've got your little round end tools, which isn't open, so I'll just show you a used one. So of course they have a large ball on one end and a smaller ball on the other, and they're all varying sizes. So as you can see, there's 5 in that pack. Now, depending on where you buy them from, you can also, and I haven't got the whole set, but some of the sets come with these bigger dotting tools. Yes, Yvonne, these were great beginner ones, and I have done the same. I've gone to the HDC ones as well, which I'll get to shortly. Alright, so you've also got these bigger ball ones. So these are really good once you get to bigger pieces. There are another 2 sizes in this, so they've got great big balls on, like different size balls on the end. Alright, so they're your tools. Now as you progress, and or you may even want to start out with I'm going to show you my dirty tools. I really need to clean them because I've just been working on 2 big pieces, is the tools from Happy Dotting Company. So they have various sizes, and each end is a different size. So you've got half sizes as well, so they're really good. However, if you are just starting out, I really do recommend starting with these, because once you get the hang of these, then these are amazing and you're going to love them. Whereas I think if I'd started out with this whole set, I would have been a bit overwhelmed. So, but of course, totally up to you. All right, so that's our tools. All right, now the sets also come with a little palette, which I started off using this. However, I've progressed to something else, which I'll get to. And you want to buy a tool set that has this template in it. And some of them have 3 different sizes of this template. This is amazing and has been my best friend. Some of them, which is what the ones just came with, they had the wrong advertising, and I bought 20 kits because for teaching kids. And they come with these pattern templates, which I have never used, so now I've got 20 sets of these templates. You may like those templates, which is fine, but you do want to have one of these, and they come in various sizes, and you can also get these from Happy Dotting Company as well. Pam, you need to get them out of the box and use them. You're going to love them. Alright, so that's a kit there. Now, like I said, I started off using this, and I always put Glad Wrap on the top of mine because then it's easy cleanup, and I don't have to rinse it or whatever. However, I've left my Glad Wrap at school, and I have some available because you're here in Catherine, or you can get them on eBay. Alright, so I'm just going to demonstrate with some alfoil on there today because I hate washing the plates, so I'm just going to show you one now. Now, as I've progressed and as you get to bigger designs, there's a whole array of these amazing little containers that you can get from Amazon or eBay, or I think Temu might have them as well. And these are just the smaller ones. I use these for paint kits. And those of you that have got dollars and cents or something like that, they have all these larger and different size containers. So I've just started using these, so they are awesome. And because I just did a meter sized painting, I got these at Dollars and Cents as well, which are very handy and hold 50 ml, and I probably used up to here as well. Alright, so they are really good. Now the lady that's from Darwin, this is what you need to get yourself, some of these. So then after you've used a colour, you can close the lid back up, and it doesn't form a skin on the lid, I mean on the paint. Alright, so there's that. Then you need a chalk pencil. Now I started off using a chalk pencil from Montmartre that I got from Dollars and Cents. There was 2 different sizes. Oh, actually that one's not, that's a different one. I've played around with lots of them. Pam, those screw ones, easy. I'm pretty careful with it, and they're not screw top, they pop off. So yeah, they just pop off, and then I just rinse them out at the end. Just make sure your paint hasn't dried up, otherwise you have to chuck them out, which I've done. So if you wash it out as soon as you've finished your painting, like as in your whole painting, and you don't need that colour anymore, depending on how much is in there, you may use it for another one. So yeah, they're easy to clean up. Alright, so I started off with these chalk pencils. I saw some people use watercolour pencils because they're easy to clean off. However, I've just discovered these amazing things from Happy Dotting Company, which is not chalk, it's something else that I can't remember. Can anybody remember what these are called? I'm having a mental blank. It did come with this pen holder, but I don't even bother about that. I bought a pack of 12, and you can easily sharpen them. They go to a nice point, whereas I found the chalk pencils kept breaking all the time and I couldn't sharpen them, so they drove me nuts. Alright, now you also will need a compass of some form and yes, soapstone. Well done, thank you. I knew it was something to do with soap. It comes off so easily. I love it. It's amazing. Because I started off with who here started off using a grey lead pencil? Oh my god, it drove me nuts trying to rub the thing off. So you will need a compass as well, and a really good ruler. So I will show you next week how to do your templates, and we're going to do a basic little design next week. Alright, so these wipe off, or this wipes off with baby wipes. So baby wipes are your best friend. I buy them by the bulk with boxes. So you will need quite a few packets of them. Alright, so that's those tools. Now, when I started, I was very lucky. My son was working as a carpenter, so I was able to get him to cut me MDF squares of different sizes, and you can get lots of MDF things from Spotlight. There's also an amazing lady in New South Wales, which is Briley Hollow, and she has an array of great MDF cutouts, either in squares, circles, or different animal shapes and amazing things. She's so good, and she's really well priced and great on postage. And of course, yeah, like I said, you can get them from Spotlight. You can get different things from the cheap shops as well. Kmart have some different ones too, so you can do that. However, I do recommend practicing. First, grab yourself some good black card, or any coloured card that's quite firm to practice on. So I'm going to demonstrate shortly using the tools just to practice on. Now, base coating your piece. When I first started, I was really pedantic because the lady I was following, does the template lady have an Etsy store? Which template lady? The template came with a... Oh, do you mean the MDF template stuff, Claudia? She's just got a website, which is Briley Hollow. I think it's Briley Hollow. I can put the link in later. Oh yes, so she's Briley Hollow. She doesn't have Etsy. She's just got a website. And you can message her. She's really helpful. So if you want different sizes or have a question, she's fantastic. I'll put the link in here in the comments after the session. Alright, so base coat. As I was saying, I was really pedantic about using Deco Art black gesso, the chalky gesso, for some reason, because that's what that lady said I had to use, and I loved painting on that. However, it is really hard to get now, so I had to change, and I've played around with a few things. I went and got some chalky paint from Bunnings, and then the last one I did, I just used some basic black paint, and that was fine, because when I do my colours, that's not a chalky background, that's just normal black paint, so I just use that straight on there, and then the chalk lines rub off really easily from that. So you don't have to do anything else. That's your prep. And then of course the chalk lines will come off, and any fingertips, you can see I've been touching this a lot, so it's got some finger bits and scratches, and you can touch that up later as well. Alright, so that's what you can use for your background. So any acrylic paint for your background, and you probably want the thicker paint for your background. You wouldn't use this for your actual dotting. So there's a few different brands, and this is a big choice for you. You'll all have your own paints that you will fall in love with. I'm just going to give you some ideas so you can just play around with different ones and what you like. So when I first started, because we only had dollars and cents here, I got the Montmartre pouring acrylic paint. However, there's not much colour choice in that, but it did for what I needed at the beginning, and it's the perfect consistency. However, some of their colours go a little bit translucent when they dry. Alright. And then I discovered these pouring paints from Riot Art, which is Eldorado di Palio or something like that. They were really good too. However, they're a bit hit and miss at the moment, and these were really quite these were like $7 or something for a 250ml, so it's good value for money, and when you're dotting, that lasts for a long time. So, but like I said, they haven't always got all the colours in anymore, so which is quite frustrating. I've also tried Paper Artsy, which is also good consistency as well, but that's getting harder to get too. And there's a lady in Mowbridge that sells this. That's easy to get hold of. However, I've now just fully gone over to Deco Art and love it. It's the perfect consistency. I don't have to add anything to it. And there's a lady in SA that sells this as well, and I think Nick's put her link in a couple of times into the group, but we can I'll put it in the comments after as well. And the color choice is amazing, and I'm not a very good mixer of, well, not very good, I just like to use the colors straight out the bottle. However, I have started doing a little bit of color mixing, so just to get some different hues, so that's quite good. And some of you may like Joe Sonia. So sometimes, depending on the color, now you may need to add a little bit of water or Floetrol to it, just to make it that little bit more runny. Just depends on the colors, I find, but hers are really good pigments, so you can easily get these at Spotlight. So, and of course there's other brands around as well, but you want ones that are flow. So don't just get a normal acrylic, you need something that is flow. So Deco Art is perfect because that's already the right consistency. So I'm going to show you on my little spaceship here the difference. So Deco Art coming out, so you can see, oh, you couldn't see that, sorry, it's, don't know how I'm going to show you that, but it is a nice runny consistency. And so is a Montmart in the white. Whoop, too runny. It just squirted everywhere. So they're nice and runny. However, if you use like a acrylic paint, just a normal acrylic paint, and yes, there's some cheap ones at Kmart and there's some other brands around. However, if you look at the difference, like it's quite thick. So see how it stays, it keeps its body. That's just way too thick, and I'm going to demonstrate on a card in a moment and you'll see the difference. Alright, so if you are just starting out or you're having issues with getting some nice dots, the best thing you can do is practice on a piece of cardboard or something, and do it continuously for, you know, until you're a little bit more happy with your dotting and how they're turning out. Ginny, resin paint. I've actually not heard of that. Is that a good consistency? Is that the right? Is that nice and runny? And does it hold its pigment? All right. So, something I tell my students to do when they are starting off is to practice with each dotting tool. So, because I haven't got a full set and I don't really want to play with my new ones, I'm just going to start off with the bigger one of the clear ones. Now, when you're using your flat end tools, you need to hold them straight upright, all right? And you can hold it like a pen. Now, you may find another way to hold it, that's fine. This is just how I do it and have had success with it. So play around, but sometimes I find people are doing too much of an angle and that's why their dots aren't working out. So you've really got to get it into the habit that your dots are going straight up and down. And you only need to dip into your paint so that you've got about that much on the end and it has a nice little bubble. And then when you're starting your dot, you're just kissing, what we call kissing the board or whatever it is you're working on. So I tell the kids when I'm teaching them, you're just giving a little kiss, all right? Because when, I'm just going to do a few showing you so that you get that nice, and it should have a little dome. So there's a nice little dome which actually flattens out when it dries, which is fine. So if you pressed too hard, you can see that you get all different size dots, and you'll notice I didn't dip again and I got this little smaller dot here and it's a bit odd shape. So like if you keep going, you can see, I probably needed to come in a little bit closer for this one. I'll just see if I can. Alright, so you can see that I've got odd shaped dots and there's not much paint in there. You want your dots to have that nice little dome, and you must dip each time. Okay, and you should be able to see now because I zoomed in a bit. Alright, so you want to keep dipping every single time loading your tool. Now that one I just did, there was a little air bubble, so if that happens you can either wipe it off or you can gently just go tiny little bit over the top and redo it. Okay, and always wipe your tool off. Alright, now as you go up into the bigger sizes, I'm just going to skip to the pink one. They have a bigger surface area, alright, so you need to be a lot slower as you get into the bigger tools. So when you get into a bigger one, make sure you've got enough paint on there. You've really got to get into it and load it up so you've got quite a bit of paint on there. And again, it's just kissing the cardboard. And you really got to hold the cardboard down. That one just did it, it's had an air bubble. so I can reload it gently. So I'm only just slightly reloading it so it gets that nice bubble on top. So again, I'm just kissing that on there. So see how slow I'm going? It's not a fast technique. Dotting is quite slow and methodical, because that's how you get those nice dots. Now, if you do the same, press like that, like look at the difference. So if you're getting dots that are turning out like that, you're pressing too hard. Oh, when I'm actually doing it, yes, I can't, there's not really a way to get on the side. Maybe next week I will experiment and see if I can get on the side. Alright, but so if you're pressing too hard, you're going to get, and I didn't reload, so you're going to get weird side dotting. So check that out and see if you're getting dots turn out like that, that's why. Now I just want to show you the difference with this thicker paint, what happens because I'm using this bigger one. So already see how it just peaks? I've already got that stiff peak. So I already know that that's way too thick. You shouldn't be able to pick up your dotting tool and move it around like this without paint going everywhere. Alright, so let's now see how it's got, try and see if I can turn it on the side. So see the difference? It's got that big peak. So that means the paint's way, way too thick. So you would have to, you can use Floetrol and water that down. I'm too lazy for that. I'd rather just get the paint that's the right consistency. So that's what you don't want to use. Now as you get to your really big one, even with the other tools, you have to be really slow. Now if you are only using a tray to do your dotting, you need to make sure that you always have enough paint in there, especially when you get to the bigger tools. So again, it's my tool is straight up and down. Whoops, because I moved. And that one I didn't quite have enough paint on. I'll just show you. So I didn't quite have enough paint on there. So see how it's left a little concave in there? So I know that I haven't got enough paint in there. I want those nice little bubbles. So I will need to gently go back over the top. And again, very gently, because you don't want to squish it out to be too big. Alright, so now it's got that nice bubble. Now I know some people worry about that they're wasting paint. However, if you get to your big dots and you've got really low paint in here and your big dots aren't working out, put more paint in. You're not really wasting much paint at all. We use bugger all paint with dotting. It is better to have nice fresh paint and a deep well so that you're making nice dots. Is there anybody that tries to get as much as they can out of their tray and then their dots don't form properly? That's why these little containers are really good too, because you can keep it quite deep. Right, I'm just going to do another one just so we're out in the, and see, I haven't got enough paint in there. It's not, see, I'm showing you. So see again how it's got that well in it. I haven't got enough paint in my tray. Alright, so we've got that there. So our next lot of tools are our little rounded end ones. Now I usually use the green one, but I don't know where it is at the minute. So these are a lot different. So you've got your big end and your little end, and this is what we do walking the dots with. So We load our tool up. We don't have to do this one straight up and down. We can do it on an angle, and these keep a nice little round circle, but you must make sure you've still got enough paint on there. And as you press it on, and you can press this one hard, you don't have to be soft with this one. So you can see that it goes into different sizes. And you don't have to load up for each one. You want it to use what paint is loaded on there. This is probably one of the easier techniques. So I just hold it like a pencil, and even at that angle. Alright, so then you can use that to walk your dots around your big circle, and I'm just going to stop halfway, because sometimes I find, depending on the size of the circle, it starts running out and there's not quite enough. So you can turn up the other end and go along right around, but see how that one in there is a little bit smaller? You can just go back over that to make it a different size. So I'm just reading Claudia. Alright, so we can just go back over the ones that didn't work out and go around. If there's any that are a little bit smaller than they should be, you can just pop another bit on there. Now I actually find it easier to count as I'm doing that, so that I get all the same ones. And of course, once you get going with the walking the dots, you can then just go up in size. I haven't actually got the small one of this, but you can like put a bigger dot, wouldn't be that big. And use your other tools to help you and go, I might do a little bit more on this next week. Alright, so we can then just add that in. And go around. So practice of those. If you have got these tools, these are really good when you get onto your bigger pieces and you want to do like quite a few of the walking the dots around the cone, around the circle. That looks really effective. All right. Now, are there any questions about any of that? And if you are finding that helpful, I'm just having a look at the comments. Topeka, for both, I just put the black straight on and paint straight on that. I used to, like I said, use the gesso and I loved it. However, I can't get it anymore, the one I liked. I've tried a couple. What's the other brand? Matisse has a black gesso, and as Pam said, I might actually have to go into Kmart and try that one out. And it depends on whether you like a shiny surface or a matte surface as to what paints you use. It doesn't really matter. Pam, yes, I use the round palettes in classes, and I don't put alfoil. That was just for today. I normally just put Glad wrap on there, and then I teach them to push. Oh, hi Nick, you're on here. I teach them to push it in before they put their paint in, and that usually works, and it's just so easy to clean up. Then you just get it and pull it off and you don't have to wash anything. Alright, I'm just going to turn my camera back around to me. Now I'm a bit close. Oh, you snuck in, did you, Nick? Yes, Montmartre Gesso. I actually was looking at dollars and cents the other day for that, and was going to grab some because we haven't had it here before, so I'm going to go there this week and get some and try that as well. Montmartre paints are pretty good, however, like I was demonstrating, like their normal acrylics are too thick. Pam, I get mine from Officeworks, and you can buy it in bulk and in A4 size, so you can buy a pack in A4 size, and by the time you cut it all up, you get your money's worth for it. It's better than using MDF. So in a class I give them a strip like that. However, when I did a kids class, because I did 5 classes last week, I cut them into squares that were the same size as this, so 15 by 15 centimeters, and I let them just paint on the card instead of giving them MDF, because I wasn't painting. I think I did 60 so I wasn't painting all that. It's bad enough having to do all the circles for them. So next week I'll show you 2 different ways to do your templates as well. Alright, and when you do get your card, make sure you get quite a thick one. Like don't get a thin one, because then it's like paper and it doesn't quite work. Your tools stick too much and lift off, and they don't get very good dots. So if you have quite a sturdy piece of card, then it's easier to dot on. They get better results with it. Alright, if you've got no other questions, that's it for today. That's probably enough, especially if there's newbies on here. I know some of you have dotted before, so thank you for coming on. And I will see you on next week, and I think I'll do a basic pattern and show you how to start off, and show you how to do your guidelines, everything as well. You are all welcome. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time to come on. Yes, Yvonne, Spotlight does have that, but yeah, it's not. If your Pam teaches as well, so she probably wants it for her classes. Whereas if you're just individual, yes, just go and grab some from Spotlight. I think the one I get is 150 or 200 GSM is what it is. So yeah, play around with it, have a feel of it, and see how hard it is. Alright, have a great afternoon, and I will see you all during the week and see you all your amazing pieces, and I will see you all on next week. Bye bye.